Alright, let's get into this video here. So, this is going to be on Active Directory password policy. So, the old way you used to do it is you used to go into, let's get your group policy open here. Just go into group policy management, and what you would do is you would have an organizational unit. You'd have a couple of sub OUs under there, and on your computer OU you would create a password policy and link it and enforce it to this OU, so it would apply a password policy to this specific OU. The way it works now is the default domain policy here is the policy that applies to every organizational unit you have, no matter what. If you want to link create a password policy to here, link it, it is not going to work. Even if this is enforced and this is not enforced, it no longer works that way. This default domain policy takes precedence over anything. It doesn't matter what you set the precedence to or anything. It's always going to take over. So let's take a look at this default domain policy. We have a standard policy here. I'm only taking out minimum and maximum password age so you can see standard. I only have two policies on this domain. The controller's policy, which has no password setting in it, which you can see here as well. So the way to do it now is what they call fine-grained password policy. And I am going to show you how to create that, and then we're going to test it in practice. So first thing we need to do is go to your Active Directory users and computers. So what you're going to want to do in here is you're going to want to get your list of users, whatever it may be. This may be students or whatever. This is not the correct users. So here's my lab users. I have a user of lab 1. So what we want to be able to do for this example is to set this user to have a 3-digit password, no policy, just as simple as can be. So right now, if we were to try to change this password to a 3-digit password, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we would get the complexity requirement and it would not change the password. So the first thing you need to do to get started here is you need to have a group. So I've got a OU here for specific groups. In this, we're going to create a new group. We're going to call it low password security. I'm going to copy this because we're going to need it again. Okay, and then we're going to add that user to that group. There we go. So now what we have is we've got our user here. Nothing's in the computers, nothing at all. We have the lab user here. Go ahead and change his account to must change password because we're going to have to try that out. So created a group, added him to the group. So now we need to create the policy to allow it to change to a 3-digit password for low security. So where we're going to want to go now is Active Directory Administrative Center. In here, you're going to want to switch it to Tree View. You're going to want to click on your domain. You're going to want to click on System, and then you're going to go to Password Settings. In here, we're going to create a new password policy. This is the fine-grained password policy. This is what replaces the way it used to be creating GPOs and enforcing them on you on organizational units. So we're going to go ahead and click the new here. We're going to say password settings. You're going to name that the same thing or whatever you want to name it. I mean, it's completely up to you. I mean, if this would be like student password policy or staff password policy or admin password policy, you know, whatever you're trying to accomplish here. You want the precedence of one because that's what you're going to want to take for this particular set of users. So we don't want to enforce the password length, or we can, it doesn't matter. History, no. Password, no. We're going to change this to 3. No. You don't want to enforce anything. This is just a basic, no frills, easy to hack your computer password. So don't do this. But for example, this is what we're going to do. So we want that group that we had created earlier. Okay, there it is. That's why I copied and pasted it to make it faster. So now we've got this low password security group. We're going to tell it okay. So now immediately it should be set. We should be able to go back to Active Directory users and computers. Go back to my user here. Go ahead and reset the password. And voila, it takes it. So now it is overridden just for this group of users, and I'll show you. We'll create a new user. We are going to call this guy Lab Guy instead of Lab User, Lab 2. Alright, we're going to try to set that same password. Does not meet complexity requirements. That's because this user is not in that group. So we're going to go okay, give it a strict password. This is the default domain password now that is controlling this user. So you have to meet its complexity requirements. And you've got to type the passwords correctly. So we met the default domains complexity requirements, which is 7 characters plus a capital letter and a number. So now that's done. So let's go ahead and move this guy to the group we created. After we do this, we should be able to immediately go back to the user, reset his password to the low security password. And there you go. So now let's test this in practice on a computer. So we have the lab user here. His password is 123. It's going to make me change it, yes. We will change it to ABC because we have low security. changes the password, lets the user log out. As we wait for this blazingly fast VM. Okay, now we're in it. So let's log this user out. While that's doing that, let's go back over to our domain controller. Let's go back to our administrative center. Now let's change this to a more secure setting. We're going to force it to meet the complexity requirements, which by default I believe is 6. So this number, once you click this, it has to be 6 digits whether this is set or not. But we're going to change it to 20. Tell it OK. Again, immediately it should change. So we're going to go to lab user, since this is the guy we're using to log in with. We're going to reset his password. Earlier we had an ABC, right? So it says user must change password at next logon. We're going to go to 111, 111, and it should not accept it. It does not. Okay, let's go back to our client. Let's log this guy back in, and it should force us, because we have that checked, it should force us to change the password again. No, I changed it to ABC, didn't I? Okay, it didn't, so we'll have to go back and uncheck it and recheck it. Oh, it wasn't checked. It must have just had it cached. Thank you, Microsoft. Okay, let's log back out. Okay, let's log back in. Now it should force us to change it. Really? Okay, so let's try it one more time. I don't know why it's not refreshing, but go to the properties. Let's go to the account. Let's take the check out, click apply, put the check back in, click apply. Okay, now let's go back to our client. Our old password, ABC. There we go. Now the user's password must be changed before signing in. Okay, so let's try that low security password again. We'll just use 3 threes. 1, 2, 3. Tab. 1, 2, 3. It should tell us, now that we've set that complexity requirement higher, no. And there it goes. So as we remember, we have 20 characters now. So let's go ABC and then put in a new giant password. And let's see if I did it right. There it goes. So let's go ahead and make sure the user logs in. And there you have it. So that is how you do the fine-grained password policy. Again, you can try to do this. It just does not work anymore to create a group policy and enforce it. Microsoft has taken that out, and this is the way you have to do it now. But as you can see, it's pretty simple. So anyway, please, if this video helped you any, leave me a like and a comment. and hit that little bell notification if you would like to see future videos like this, which I do plan to make. So anyway, have a good day.